Keenan clear to Bacano. Bobby Orr behind the net to Sanderson. Orr! Bobby Orr!
16th of the year. Harris, number 4, spun around by Frank Mahamud. Here's Sullivan, close again. John Sullivan dumps it off the boards in the corner. Romero going after it. Hit Hunter. He did it alone. A shot. Can it go?
Solani goes after it. Timo Solani breaks it. He scored!
Now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadians win the Stanley Cup.
And after 22 years,
On his stick right here. Score! Penguins win! Ovechkin score! The Grade 8 Express pulls into third place all time. The dynasty will be denied, and a new legacy begins. They've reached the seventh, and the Avalanche are 2022 Stanley Cup champions.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Season 6, Episode 2 of the Powerskateshow. We are almost there. World Juniors is coming soon next week. We are super excited, but we got some very amazing news. We got a special guest. He's a diehard Tampa Bay Lightning fan. He's been with us for 2 times. His 3rd time on the appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Austin Sabolski. Austin, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Honestly, it's been awesome that you had me a couple of times, like you said, in the show before, and having me around as a frequent guest. I know it's not that often, but frequent, I guess, would still be the best way to describe it, as a frequent guest. And it's nice. Like when you texted me the other day, obviously, I'm sure regardless of like you said, the reason why I'm being a guest on this episode, because your partner in crime on this show is unavailable, but I'm sure regardless there would have been another time coming up soon you would have asked me to be on the show, and that's not just because of the inconvenience. So like I really appreciate it to be back on the show again. It's awesome. It's been a while.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back on. We got some interesting news regarding the Lightning reverse retro, and you will talk about the Lightning at the end. So for those who are watching, please stay tuned, because pretty much Austin would pretty much have something to say about the Tampa Bay Lightning. So we got some important stuff. Let's get down to business. You guys are required to follow the Powerskateshow official. If you guys are wondering why we renamed it to official, you can look back at the game 4 or 5 of the Stanley Cup final. I don't have to say it many times, but you get the picture why. In honor of Grant not being here, but you're most importantly are required to follow Plus the Sports Zone, best in the game. He talks about football, post-football, baseball, basketball, hockey. We collab. So it'll be nice if you guys would love to follow Floods the Sports Zone, who's unable to be here today. And most importantly, we have an organization podcast, Around the Diamond podcast, who reached us out a few weeks ago to be in our organization. So shout out to Around the Diamond podcast, best baseball podcast in the game so far. They've gotten started 2 weeks ago, and they're now on the grind. So with that, let's get this party started. First nostalgia of the week. Andre Sekera has retired at age 36. He was well known with his time on my version with the Carolina Hurricanes, but he played with Buffalo, Carolina, LA, Edmonton, and finished off with Dallas.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. Was Andre Sekera on the Dallas Stars when they were on that 2020 Cup run, or was he still on Edmonton?
Yes, yes, he was.
Yeah.
Because I remember him that he played well in the Winter Classic a few months before COVID came in. So
okay, yeah, I think the only thing I could say is obviously the first time I think I remember hearing that name Sekera was when he was still on the Hurricanes, and then I obviously remember when he was with. I think he got to play some time with McDavid on the Oilers. I believe so.
Yeah,
and then obviously because being a Lightning fan, that 2020 Cup run in the bubble was pretty cool. I mean, despite what happened and the circumstances, it was amazing still what the NHL pulled off with that, playoff bubble. And the Dallas Stars, for what they did in that Cup run, was pretty amazing to watch what they did. You can't take it for granted because they, despite missing the playoffs the following year, they came back this upcoming year, or this previous year, if you want to call it previous season. I know we're still in 2022, but even though they got eliminated in the first round, I mean, it took 7 games and they almost eliminated Calgary, the top team in the Pacific Division. So the Dallas, I think, has a little more to show. They still have a little more retooling to do, but he definitely was a good veteran presence for the Dallas Stars right until the end for the last couple of years of his career. So props to him on hopefully he has a great retirement.
Yeah, Andre Sekera, he was a solid like mid pair to bomb pair defenseman if he needs, or if the team needs rather. 253 points that's a respectable number for like a mid pair or even though a bottom pair defenseman, because I pretty much suspect with the number 253 and pretty much play like 600 700 games around that time frame. That's a respectable career for Sekera as a defenseman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Few of the good news. Sharks have re-signed Kaapo Kähkönen, and Montreal has re-signed Sam Montembeault. Both of them get a 2-year deal. Getting re-signed Kaapo Kähkönen is a good deal, even though that he played a little bit because he was a trade deadline piece. Gives him the opportunity to pretty much play more games. Basically like a Dan Vladar from Boston to Calgary, because Boston had plans with Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman. So even though that San Jose has a depth organization now, gives them the good opportunity. And for Sam Montembeault, we were hoping that he would be moved last year, and thank goodness he did, because even though he was with Florida, Spencer Knight is pretty much going to take over the whole team. And even though that they had Chris Driedger and Bobrovsky, there will be no room for Montembeault in Florida. So those are good signings.
Yeah, I didn't honestly know that they signed a contract. So thanks for bringing that up for me for my experience, for my knowledge, because I knew that they needed a. Well, I knew that Kaapo Kähkönen. I knew about obviously the trade happened during. I think it was when the season was still going on. I don't know if this was.
Yeah.
It
was during
but
the trade.
I knew that he needed a new deal. So I don't know what the money is for each of the 2 years, but he, I don't think it was that Minnesota didn't want him to have a chance to take over the job in Minnesota, because obviously they're doing 2 more years of Fleury, because he still can. I mean, it's Marc-Andre Fleury, but he did show signs of potential, and he was a bright spot, obviously, this last year or two, and he definitely has a chance, because he's still very young, can take over and be the number 1 goaltender in San Jose. So that's going to be good, because they have a lot of work to do, actually. Obviously, I mean, they did the Brent Burns contract and traded him to Carolina, but even with that, there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, I'm obviously happy with the Sharks, with them having Mike Greer being the general manager, the first ever for African American, and I don't know what exactly their plans or their expectations are, but nothing against them. They've always been one of my other favorite teams on the side. Even my brother is a big fan of the Sharks. He has a hat. of the San Jose Sharks. But I don't know. There's like the Pacific Division obviously is wide open. You never know, they could surprise me. But it's like I feel like, with what we've seen with LA and some of the Canadian teams, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be hard for San Jose next season to make the playoffs. But they do have a lot of work to do. But I think they're moving in the right direction. And as with the Canadians, with that disastrous season that they had, obviously the season after going to the Cup final, Sam Montembeault, despite having, moments where he was really bad in, last season, there were some moments where Sam Montembeault really impressed me, like when I was watching some highlights of the Canadians. Like there was some moments where he was, especially with almost the whole season of not having Carey Price and basically Jake Allen having to do a lot of the workload. And then they had a couple of other goalies, back and forth as the backup. He definitely had some great moments last season near the end, the second half of the season. So I get why they want to keep him, because you look at how much longer is Carey Price going to play. The future, like after Carey Price, is kind of like, especially because they traded Zach Fucale to the Capitals. I honestly, you wonder what their future plans are when it comes to goaltending after Carey Price officially, I don't know how many years it will be when he decides to retire, but Sam Montembeault obviously can show some promise. So I think that's pretty nice. A 2-year contract. I don't know the exact amount he's making per year, but I'm sure it's probably a reasonable amount. So pretty good signings for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Ellie Olczyk will join the Seattle Kraken broadcast team. As we all know, Pat Foley. Pat Foley. I know that there was the other Foley, but anyway, Pat Foley, as we all know, he retired with the Blackhawks for many years now, and pretty much Eddie Olczyk is now taking the new team role.
Yeah, I remember when I shared this with John, because we've been so close now these last 4 or 5 years. He didn't obviously make a video for the channel Hot Take Hockey, but I've shared it with him on Twitter, because to me, I don't know how much of a reaction it got, but like it was a shock to me, because like especially when I looked at how, like it said in the article, like how many years he did the broadcasting for the Blackhawks, 16 years. I have to look back on it because I don't know exactly what it said. I'm trying to I don't know exactly what it was. I don't know if it was like a money issue, why he left. I mean, I know there's been a lot of crazy. I mean, we're not going to go into it because this is not what it's for. But obviously the last year, whether you are aware or not, there's been a lot of things going off the ice and on the ice when it comes to the Blackhawks organization. It's sad because they're one of the original 6 franchises, and they definitely need, a fresh, start and trying to move forward after all the, negative stuff. And there's still stuff going on. Like we wonder, and I'm sure, Alex, you wonder what is going to happen with Kane and Taves this upcoming season. But and it's just crazy what's going on with Eddie Olczyk. I mean, I loved when he was not, because obviously besides the Blackhawks, he would do NBC when they still were under contract with the NHL. He would do with Mike Doc Emmerich, the national broadcast games. And I loved it. Like their time on NBC, like watching Eddie Olczyk and Mike Doc Emmerich, like they're the best in the business when it comes to hockey broadcasting.
Exactly.
And he's going to do a great job. Honestly, watching some Seattle games now and then is going to be fun, especially having him, Eddie Olczyk specifically, with the newest NHL franchise, and you have JT Brown part of the crew, and I forget the other person that's broadcasting. Yeah, Fourthland. It's going to be fun. Honestly, I think this with the other moves too that Seattle has made with their team specifically, players, this second season, sophomore year, I think is going to be. I think people need to really watch, like whether or not they surprise people when it comes to how successful they are, if they're like challenging a playoff spot come March. I think the second year is going to be better. Like I know it was maybe people were the way Seattle had a first year. You know what? Yeah, it wasn't the same as Vegas's expansion year, but you know what? I think moving forward, it's going to get even better as the years go by for Seattle. I think it's just going to get even better.
Yeah, and I feel like the attention came in during the draft when they got Shane Wright.
Oh, yeah, it started with that too.
Yeah. All right, the Devils signed goaltender Vitek Vanecek to a 3-year, $3.4 million. Pretty much got like nothing to say, but like even though that like he's on a new team, pretty much Washington. As far as I know, the Capitals would not have the money to get Vitek because both of them with Vitek and Samsonov. They basically let Samsonov off not to get the arbitration that they pretty much need because you got Oshie who's pretty much getting up in age right now. He's like 35 or 36 around that time frame. John Carlson, he's 31. You paid Ovechkin last offseason. And Backstrom, he's on LTIR, and so is Tom Wilson. You would have get the room. But even though that Vanecek is on a new team who has a ton of free space, I would say that that's a good signing for Vanecek.
Yeah, I think honestly he's going to help the Devils out because Mackenzie Blackwood had a lot of injury problem last year, but he obviously was looked at the last year or so with their future. And it seems like those two will fight for the number one spot because it's nothing against Blackwood, but it seems like to me, unless they do consider Blackwood already their number one goaltender, like whoever's like the hot goalie, like might play more games. It just depends. But yeah, Vanecek, it just seems like, like you said, just the Capitals didn't see a long-term future with Vanecek or Samsonov. And that's why, because when it's crazy when you think that those were their two goaltenders last year, and now both of them this offseason are gone. And they're going to two teams that could use a goaltending, like Samsonov. I hope he does well with Toronto, and obviously the same for Vanecek in Jersey. But with Darcy Kemper, that was the big fish, and that's just what Washington wanted to go with. It's like it's the best way to describe it is like the phrase you hear in hockey a lot. If you work for an NHL team, it's part of the business. There's nothing against Vanecek or Samson. I'm not thinking that they can't be great goaltenders, but for their plans, they just didn't want to move forward, and then they traded both of them. So, good guy on Vanecek. He found a new team, and hopefully he does well with them.
Yeah. Cap signed Gabriel Carlson, pretty much got nothing to say. He's going to be like a depth defenseman, pretty much.
Yeah.
Penguins re-signed Kasperi Kapanen into a 2-year, $3.2 million annual average value. I would say a respectable signing because even though that Kasperi Kapanen, according to NHL.com, I think that he had a solid year. Not of a good year in the world, but he had 79 games with 11 goals, 20 assists for 32 points. This is pretty much like a you have another chance to pretty much reach your expected potential because let's face it, Kasperi Kapanen, his career high was 44 points in his first full year. We kind of see like a middle lineup, like second, third line, fourth line guy as of what we're seeing. But to give the contract with $3 million, this is pretty much you have pretty much a chance to build room because of the Penguins, they're like losing so many players. Their whole entire team is getting old among Crosby, Letang, and Malkin. He's getting the opportunity for more room.
Yeah. How many years is this deal again? Sorry.
All right. 2 years, $3.2 million.
Okay. I mean, it's not too much money, but like with the points that he produced, like last season, like you said, he produced 30 to 35 points, and he's obviously done more. Obviously Pittsburgh and Toronto are two different teams, but like you said, he had 44 points one year with Toronto, and they have a lot of obviously offensive talent with Matthews, Marner, and Tavares. So he's definitely going to have to, especially because he's the younger player, like one of the younger players on their team. When you think about it, Malkin has a 4-year deal, and so does Letang, same money, same term and length. And it's like, this is probably going to be their last 4 years. I mean, unless they want to sign a 1-year deal, but it's like, it just seems like these last 4, it's because based on these contracts they're signing, this is the last contract they're signing, presumably. I mean, I could be wrong, but so the key to Pittsburgh still winning one more Stanley Cup with this core of Malkin, Crosby, and Letang is going to be relying on the younger players, whether it's the young veterans or the young veterans like in their mid to late 20s, and the younger players that are just close to reaching their prime. Kasperi Kapanen, I guess you would say he obviously has a chance to be in his prime, or I'm not sure. I don't know exactly.
He's 26. He's 26.
So he should be starting his prime or in the middle of his prime. So he has a chance. Like, this should be a year, this 2 years deal that he's got, where he really can step up his game. Not saying that Malkin, Crosby, and Letang aren't going to be able to produce points, but like the age is going to be a factor to where the young guys are definitely going to have to step up if they want like one of these 4 upcoming years of this core to be a deep, long playoff run. Their younger guys are going to have to really continue to step in. Like the young veterans like Rust and Jake Gensel, they're doing great. They just got to obviously continue to produce. And the younger players that are newer to the team, they'll definitely have to help out as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in these 4 years with potentially the last 4 years of this main core of the Penguins that we've had for over a decade.
Yeah. All right. Nino Niederreiter is heading to Nashville for 2 years.
Honestly, when I heard about this deal, because I've been watching the Steve Dangle podcast a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He actually predicted it right. I think Steve Dangle said that he predicted that Niederreiter would be perfect in Nashville, and he's right. They unfortunately, obviously, they didn't have their number one goaltender, and they got swept. But Predators are a team that I don't see on the decline. Like, they got so many, great young talent, and of course, like a good mixture of both younger players and some, older veteran players. You got your number one defenseman in Roman Josi, a Norris candidate, and he has won the Norris, I think.
Dante Fabro.
Yeah. And like Nino Niederreiter, like when the first year that he went to Carolina, he lit it up. Like, he was amazing with the Hurricanes, and he still has potential to have a decent year and score a lot of goals and get a lot of assists and reach a lot of points. He definitely has a chance to do well on their like second line or third line, whichever they decide to put him on. He definitely will be a great mid center, or not center, a mid four. What would you say? Like a top 6 or top 9 forward. He definitely has a great potential to be produce a lot for them.
Yeah,
and they need it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, like we're pretty much gonna do season previews within the next few weeks. So I can't see him be as like a sorry. Like a mid, like a middle line, be like a 2 or 3 punch, like with either Yakov Trenin if they take the arbitration very well, or Tanner Janot.
Yeah.
Sharks hired David Quinn as their new head coach.
Honestly, I think this isn't bad because obviously, he's one of the few coaches that they've hired that didn't have any prior NHL experience. He was, from college hockey. Yeah. And he tried his best. It's not like, obviously it wasn't the best success with the Rangers, but I think he definitely kind of helped it before they ever led to, their current head coach, Gerard Gallant. I think his time can't be looked at as a waste. Like, I think he did fairly well, fairly okay for the Rangers, and he's getting another chance for a team that definitely needs a lot of change. Moving forward, trying to do some retooling, adjusting, obviously because they've changed the management position with general manager and head coach. I think this is a good, this is a breath of fresh air for them, having a new voice, and I think this will work well. I think he's going to really enjoy this second opportunity being a head coach, and I think it's going to go well. Maybe it won't be a successful first season, like making the playoffs. Who knows? Again, like I said, that Pacific Division is kind of unpredictable to predict what 3 or 4 or 5 teams will make it. But I think this is a great opportunity, and I wish him the best of luck. I think it's going to go well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So Patrick Laine is staying with Columbus for 4 years, $8.7 million. I'm not.
Yeah.
Listen.
Sorry. You go first.
Ahead.
You're the host. You go first.
Yes. Okay.
You look like you had something really to say. Like you started to talk like you had something to say.
Yes. Okay. Patrick Laine, good year on the year length, but a little bit off on the deal. Good job on the $8 million per. How about like an 8.5 realistically? Because if you look on his numbers, he's 24 years old, 6'5". God, he's a big boy. He had a point per game, 56 games and 56 points. And last year, let's exclude the 2020-21 season. That was not a good year for Patrick Laine. But basically, on a regular standpoint, 1920 he had 68 games and 63 points. Good job on the years for 4 years, because I'd say the contract ends like in the middle of his prime. So not too shabby for Columbus.
Yeah, and you gotta wonder if part of this deal happened because of the Johnny Gaudreau signing, because obviously that if they play on the same line, Columbus really wants to prove that they can make the playoffs again, because after their sweep of the Lightning, and then the next year they did make the bubble, and that was a great playoff series as well. And then John Tortorella gets fired because of they missed the playoffs the next following year, the 2021 season. 2021-22, they weren't that bad. Like they won almost 40 games. Like they were, they won like 38 or something. Like it was like in the middle. Like like they weren't bad, but they weren't that great. They were just decent, good, okay. Like, and they really wanted to make a statement that they can compete with the Metropolitan Division with the other teams. Obviously, that remains to be seen. We'll have to see what happens this upcoming year, how they play. But I think that obviously I can't say that's the reason why he signed and stayed with Columbus, because of Johnny Gaudreau. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But the fact that they got this deal done, because there's been obviously problems with when recent contract signings with Laine in the past with Winnipeg. The fact that this got done right away during the offseason is pretty good. And it's 4 years. He's capable of putting a lot of points. So, like, we've seen Laine score 40 goals. That was 70 points. 18. And I think he wants to prove that he can do it again, score 70, 80 points and score 40 goals again. I think he can do it. He obviously wants to show it that he can do it. And I think he's really excited to play with Johnny Gaudreau. I think watch out for, like, besides, like I said, with Seattle, I think watch out for Columbus this year. I think this is going to be an interesting season for them.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what Laine and Johnny Hockey could bring. Okay, Jets re-signed Pierre-Luc Dubois to a 1-year, $6 million deal. And if you guys don't know Austin, he's good friends with John from Hot Take Hockey. I've seen 80 million rants about this dude of like the trades, or like, because I'll give it a crystal clear for those who don't know about what's going on. If you guys know, great. So on the rumors, he said he came to the draft because he thinks that he was going to get traded, or he's expecting a trade because he wants to introduce the team during the draft. He was on a podcast or just with the team podcast. He said that he enjoys going to drafts, and he's been going to numerous drafts since he was a kid. Even though he's from Quebec, he went there pretty much to meet up with the prospects who was a first round draft pick with the Winnipeg Jets, like Rutger McGrody.
Yeah, so obviously because I still watch every video because I'm good buddies with John from Hot Take Hockey, it's really hard to feel like who's telling the truth and who's not, because Dubois, the rumors were from his agent that he wanted to leave Winnipeg. We already hear like he is going to test the market when he becomes an unrestricted free agent, when he has no more years left as an RFA, that he wants to test the market. And, the news comes out that he wants to go to Montreal Canadiens because obviously Quebec is his hometown. And then he, after he signs the 1-year deal for $6 million, he's, stating to the public, the media, that no, he never requested a trade. He wanted to stay with Winnipeg. He's, fine. He likes, maybe I'm stretching the truth with those words. I don't know what he said, but he had no desire to leave Winnipeg. I guess maybe
you're saying it right. You're saying it right.
Yeah, that he had no desire to leave Winnipeg. So people are now wondering, well, who's telling the truth? Is his agent lying, or is he telling the truth, or is Dubois just making this up because he signed the contract and he just wants it hey, I signed the contract, it's over and done with. Let's just move on. Which it's kind of hard to when we're hearing rumors before you sign the deal that you want to leave because you're at the draft. You go on a Winnipeg podcast to say, well, I like going to drafts all the time. I enjoy them. Obviously people like to go to the draft. There's people that don't, but there's plenty of people that love to go to the NHL drafts, no matter where it's held at. So, it's going to be a question, time will tell. Is Dubois, going to be happy with Winnipeg? Is he, really happy, or was he honestly hoping to get traded, to Montreal, or who knows? I don't know. It's kind of like crazy. It's so much back and forth when it seems like Dubois over these last couple of years. But you know what? Hopefully he had a great year this past season with Winnipeg, produced a good amount of points. So we'll see if he has a second year in a row where he produces a lot of points again. We'll see.
Yes. So Dallas Stars have signed Will Butcher to a 1-year league minimum deal. Honestly, can I just be honest with you for a sec? Will Butcher, he put up a solid year with the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, it must have gone under the radar because I remember when he was on the Devils, I didn't even know that he was on the Sabres last year. So that must have definitely been under the radar because I didn't even know he was on the Sabres last year. I totally forgot.
Yeah. All right, we got a good trade to announce. Oliver Borkstrand is heading to the Emerald City.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's interesting how people were making fun of the Seattle Kraken for their moves that they made during their expansion year, like before the season started and like during the offseason. I look at what they're doing now, like only giving away a draft pick just to get Bjorkstrand. Like I said, there's nothing more I can say. Like, what a signing by the Kraken, and look out for them this upcoming year. Like, seriously, like what a steal. Like, that's going to be like, Bjorkstrand had a lot of great years with the Blue Jackets, underrated, undervalued, and he, definitely look out for him. I think he's going to have a good year in Seattle. Just look out for the Kraken, man. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, like I said, Austin, we're going to be discussing some what do we call it? Season previews. Taking a look at this roster. You got Jaden Schwartz, Matthew Beniers, and Jordan Eberle as their top pair. I'm going to say this really fast. Jared McCann, Yanni Gord, and Andre Burakovsky as their second line rather. So Borkstrand is pretty much going to end up in the third line as a left wing, along with Ryan Donato. Even though that like Seattle is making noise, they can have an idea like who's going to play or who's going to be depth because even though that their four line is stacked, you may pretty much like move one. I'm not saying like move like Donskoy or Tanev like Tanev he's your key piece to the rebuild. Well, basically, and you got a good solid defenseman depth that you can have him play like many times. We will get to Seattle within the next few minutes. So just to point out, but yeah, that's a good trade for Seattle and Columbus for Oliver Borkstrand.
Yeah.
Ducks resigned defenseman Urho Vakanainen to a 2-year deal. And listen, I'm going to say this on behalf of my good friend Grant. He's a good friend with Urho Vakanainen. During the Hampus Lindholm trade, if you guys have not yet checked that out, I think check out 2022 trade deadline on the Powerskateshow YouTube channel. I even made a joke about him, saying like, you're not going to thank John Moore for your service, but he only thanked Urho Vakanainen for his service.
Yep. It's just a nice depth signing for the Dutch. Obviously, they're trying to make some moves. It's a big change now with Getzlaf being retired. Now it's like that team was a lot different. It's going to be they basically have to create a new identity. So it's going to be interesting what they do moving forward.
Okay.
Oh yes,
Mic drop.
Oh yeah, that was a mic drop when that got tweeted out. I was just like, what?
That I have to be careful with this because that was my Christmas gift. So
yeah, no worries.
So the story from that is that I was doing a YouTube video for my summer blog. If you guys have not yet checked it out, the link will be in the description for my YouTube channel. We got a special episode 2 more, and you'll definitely check that out soon. Anywho, so it was the day before I was heading to Virginia Beach, and heard that Matthew Tkachuk was traded to the Florida Panthers. I pretty much expected a trade will happen to Matthew Tkachuk, but to a Florida Panthers team, very, very interesting. 8 years, $9.5 million. I'll give that a round of applause because even though that Calgary would not have the money to do it since should I say no? But like even though that they lost Johnny Gaudreau, he would not have a good chemistry because he would only have Sean Monahan as your center and whatever HL guy, probably like Matthew Phillips in the first line. But don't worry, Jonathan Huberdeau can save the franchise for Calgary.
Yeah,
along with Mackenzie Weegar, good move, and Cole Schwint.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like when that trade broke down, I think it was close to midnight or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy and sad. Like obviously, as a Flames fan, you're kind of worried like what's going to happen with your team next year after the successful year you had. Winning your winning your division, I guess you want to say, because you ended up first in the division. And you somewhat had a decent run. You got eliminated in 5 games in the second round. But we'll have to talk about this in a moment. I got my phone. I have it on silent, obviously, because we're doing the show. But we got breaking news with the signing. But yeah, but when the Flames did this, I was like,
Yamamoto.
Signing that people were wondering if he was going to get traded, but Kaylor Yamamoto, man, staying with the Oilers. We'll talk about that maybe in a moment. But yeah, just to quickly touch off because obviously this happened a week or so ago. Yeah, when that happened, like you hope that Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau, your hope for if you're a Flames fan is that they're going to stay like after this 1 year of their remaining current deal, that they'll stay with the team long term. And I guess there was general manager Brad Treliving had some dinner with Jonathan Huberdeau, like sat with him after this deal went down. Seems like it went good based on, because his agent is the famous one that you hear on Twitter, Alan Walsh. So you hope that it's going to happen because Jonathan Huberdeau was the second top point producer all across the entire NHL last year. And well, first of all, this trade was crazy because it was 2 players that both scored over 100 points. Getting traded to different teams. So this is the first big trade that's one of the best trades that we've had in a decade or so or something. It's just you haven't seen this type of trade in a while. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously the Panthers, I don't want to say they got even better because of this trade. Not that Matthew Tkachuk brings something fresh and new that the Panthers need. He does. And it's going to make even the Battle of Florida even more difficult and more intense and like just rough. It's going to because it's Matthew Tkachuk. But I think Huberdeau can really do a lot with the Calgary Flames. I think he can produce I don't know exactly how much it'll be the same. 111 points. Like, is it going to be that same amount, or will it be a little bit less? It still could be a 100-point season. He could still do with the Flames, especially because they had 2 or 3 players produce 100 points last year. So I hope that it goes for both teams. Obviously, Matthew Tkachuk, especially after Johnny Hockey left, I guess it was inevitable that after that happened that Johnny Gaudreau wanted to go somewhere else because he wanted to be closer for family reasons. It's not that he didn't love the time he was in Calgary. It was more of a family issue that
I heard that he was having the baby.
Yeah, there was something with either his father or his grandfather. But yeah, Matthew Tkachuk just took that as well. He wants to go, back to, the States because be closer to his family. And he didn't want to be the next captain. I mean, because he probably could have been the next captain if he would have stayed with Calgary. But he just wanted to move on. He wanted to request a trade. He'd rather be somewhere else. And that's his own personal decision. Now, time will tell if he wants to go back to where, his father played for most of his career. The legendary Keith Tkachuk was a famous Blue. And that's kind of where people were thinking that he was going to go to the Blues. But no, the Panthers, that was big. So maybe he still will go to the Blues near the end of his career. Who knows? But he said he wants to. He could see himself being in Florida for the rest of his career, or after his career. He seems like he really is excited to be part of Florida, both the state, living culture, and the team. So we'll see how this trade pans out for both teams next season.
Yeah.
And just to quickly say that I should feel bad because the prospect Cole Schwitt, obviously, hopefully he'll develop well with the Flames, but Mackenzie Weegar is going to be a good defenseman in that top 6 too. So hopefully he'll do some good, producing and help that team out too defensively for the Flames. So only time will tell though.
Yeah. All right. Jack Studnicka, 2-year, $1.525 million. He's going to have a two-way deal this upcoming year and one way in the following year. I'll say a solid signing because he's pretty much building up to be an NHL regular in a few years. Yeah,
I can't say much about this because that ain't much either because I'm not really that familiar with the player, but it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And Morgan Geekie is sticking around for one more year with Seattle. So solid deal, respectable. Like I say, he will be like a solid middle line forward or a fourth line when B maybe.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we got a leaked reverse retro regarding the Vancouver Canucks. They may go with the Johnny Canuck, inspired by the year 1962.
Yeah, this is going to be cool. This is going to be the second edition of doing retro reverse jerseys after they didn't do it this past 21-22 season. Obviously, a big reason they did it during the year. Well, it was still a COVID year, but it was after the bubble.
Yeah.
So, but they did that obviously to help with the revenue. Obviously, that was. But still, even though it was obviously the NHL's way up to earn back the revenue that they lost by people buying these jerseys, the retro reverse, it was still a great marketing thing. It was cool. People loved them, even though if you know the reason why these came out. But them doing this a second year, the second time in 3 years, this 3 seasons, I think this will be cool. And obviously, it's pretty cool if this happens to be what the Canucks end up doing for their retro reverse. It looks pretty cool to me. So it'll be cool to see what the other teams do.
Yeah. Kraken signed Michael Kempney to a 1-year, $700 league minimum deal. Solid signing, even though he's pretty much on his way out because he's been having many injury issues and he's been spending most of his time with the Hershey Bears. So probably one more chance.
Yeah, it's the only thing I want to quickly say about that is it's kind of sad because he was big time on that cup run. Like he was, I don't know if he was either in their top 4 or he was on the top pair with Carlson. But like the way he played that year, they won the cup. He was big part of the reason why they won that cup. And it was sad, like you said, the year after the Capitals won the cup, he had a major injury, and ever since he's just been affected and played with them. So hopefully maybe he can find some new success and fresh, fresh trying to think of I've been saying it already, like a fresh atmosphere, with being with the new team.
Like new scenery, yeah.
Yeah,
And
a fresh scenery, So yeah, that's what I meant. A change of scenery. That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
A change of scenery, I think, hopefully could do good for him. So we'll see what happens.
Yes. And one thing, pretty much like most Caps fans, including me, expected this coming because let's face it, we got a few Caps prospects, guys like Alexander Alexia, Bobby Nardella, Vinny, something Orio, something.
Mm-hmm.
We got players who's getting ready to be NHL stars, so we would not have room for him to see, but he was very good with Washington during that cup run, but ever since he fell off apart. All right, Isaac Lundstrom re-signed with the Ducks, pretty much a like a bottom pair of depth, bottom line for depth, pretty much.
Yep. Trying to add more to the new identity of the Ducks. Yep.
Yeah. So Detroit is making some noise as they sign Robert Hagg to a 1-year $800K deal.
Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see what Detroit does this season if they actually challenge for a playoff spot near the end of the season, because not saying the Bruins couldn't still make the playoffs, even though the first few months they're going to have some really key guys out. But it's going to be, I'm really looking to see what's going to happen with the Buffalo Sabres, the Detroit Red Wings, the Ottawa Senators. Those three teams made moves for a reason. They're tired of being in the bottom four of the division. This Atlanta division is not boring anymore. Even the Canadians, despite the season they had last year, the moves and the number 1 overall draft pick, Juraj Slafkovsky, this is going to be an interesting year for the Atlanta division with all 8 teams. Those bottom 4 teams and Canadians, Detroit, Buffalo, Ottawa, they're going to make it difficult. It's not going to be easy for the top 4 teams of Boston, Toronto, Tampa, and Florida to earn wins. I still see 3 of those 4 teams still making a top 3, but it's not going to be easier. Those other 4 teams, they got better, and it's going to be more difficult this upcoming season with that division.
Yeah, I gotta agree with what you're saying, because we're seeing signs from like bad teams that are getting ready to boost up. Buffalo is pretty much gonna be the most attention for, because after Jack Eichel, they've been getting so better lately.
Yeah, Ottawa's getting a lot of attention this upcoming season too, for sure. Yeah.
And Mark Pysyk will be out 4 to 6 months due to a torn Achilles. He's pretty much like a depth defenseman, so pretty much got nothing to say about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad because he obviously can help with their bottom pair or the middle pair defense, but hopefully they can. I'm sure they'll do okay still.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right, we got another reverse retro rumors. We're pretty much on a roll, but we will get to your team at some point soon, Austin. So
it's okay, no worries. Yeah, this. Based on what this possible leak is, what I'm seeing for the Devils, especially because it's their 40th anniversary, they already have a logo ready, what they'll wear on their jerseys this year. It's going to be cool. There's a couple other teams that are having a milestone anniversary, so I think this will be a good year.
The Islanders, which we will get to.
Yep.
So yeah, like good on the logo, like techniques. I would say on the left, maybe like a scenario to what the LA Kings did last year with the Chevy logo in their original colors with the I call it the Lakers colors.
Yeah, I think the one thing for me is that it's nothing against an alternate jersey being like white. For me, when you're doing an alternate jersey as your third jersey, I like it more when it looks like it's a non-white color, like like to where you could wear it, because it's like I get why it's like it brings back the days of when the NHL, like the 90s, when the teams wearing their home jerseys were the white jerseys, the colored ones were the away. I get that. It's cool, like when you kind of see other teams make a third jersey that's not a dark solid color. That's in this case, like the LA Kings, their jerseys were mainly white, and so it's cool. I guess especially because I was born in the mid 90s, And obviously, when I got into hockey was near the end of the 2000s or early 2010s, and that's when jerseys were the way it was is what it is now, like, or still is. Home jerseys are the dark colored ones, and then the away jerseys are the white ones. But yeah, this will be interesting if this ends up being, especially the one on the right, if the Devils use that as their retro reverse. That'll be pretty interesting if they actually incorporate blue in their logo.
Yeah, something new. Hurricanes sign left wing Ryan Dzingel is going to have his second stint. But I was not prepared to do the brass bonanza, but I'm just going to make it quick.
Yeah, that's a good little thing, just to add. But yeah, Ryan Dzingel, he's in another chance after, he was signed to the Maple Leafs picked him up, and then I don't even know if he played a game, and then he got picked up by the Coyotes, and he played some time there, did okay. Now he's getting a second chance with the Carolina Hurricanes. Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah. Next, Devils re-signed Jonas Siegenthaler, and here's my issue. But first things first, I know that he had a great year last year. Good. 5 years, that's too long.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I don't know the extent of the contracts. You just told me now 5 years, so now I know that. But it's I mean, hopefully it doesn't end up being something that they regret later on, but you hope that he's going to be part of their team, like, moving forward, like, as they're retooling or rebuilds, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully, like, he can be part of their future. So we'll see.
Yeah. We're going to skip that. Henry Bull.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. LA Kings will retire Dustin Brown, number 23, to the rafters at crypto.com. And let me tell you, Austin, every time when we have like a iconic name or for sports, we got to make sure if it's on national TV. Because last year we feel disrespected that Henrik Lundqvist's retired number did not make it on national TV.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was sad that his retirement was, especially for him. That's Lundqvist we're talking about, that it wasn't on a national broadcast. But yeah, hopefully Dustin Brown does, because the fact that he's the first captain to ever win the Stanley Cup with the Kings, that was their first ever 2 Stanley Cups in their history. He, on their all-time list of goals or points, he's in the top 10. And there's a couple of things. I think he's played the most games. I mean, I know Kopitar might break a couple of Dustin Brown's records in the near future, but for what Dustin Brown did with that organization for the time he was the captain, and even after he lost the captaincy to Kopitar, he still did great after that. And Kopitar is going to be probably looked as one of the 10, maybe we'll see, the 10 greatest Kings players ever. He had more goals than Gretzky did. Obviously, Gretzky's entire career wasn't with the Kings, but he scored more goals, as a Kings member than Gretzky did. But so that's pretty something to say. I mean, if you want to say something significant. So Dustin Brown deserves a recognition for what he accomplished in his career.
Yeah. Gotta say the same thing as what you said.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Just my mom was asking me a question. So
I'm sorry.
No worries, because I know we'll have to wrap this up shortly because we're anyways, continue on with what you were going to.
All right. We'll try skip through.
Whichever things are like minor that are not. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So
I know one thing I saw that you passed by.
Yes. Okay. So according to Hockey YouTuber posted that he was told that the Tampa Bay Lightning are considering to do a black version of the Storm, or possibly use the Steven Stamkos rookie on the left. So what do you prefer out of these two?
As a retro reverse jersey, what they do, it would be kind of cool. Obviously, the second one, I think they did with the first retro reverse jersey a year ago, the one on the right. If they use that other logo with the one with when they still had that other logo when Stamkos was a rookie, because that was their second logo, I think, or their first logo.
It was second.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool if they incorporated the first logo. I like the second logo more, but I wouldn't be upset if they incorporated the first logo.
Yeah,
I don't know if you were going to talk about it because you passed by it, but I saw that. Yeah, the one thing.
John Klingberg.
John Klingberg. The other thing, the Adidas thing, them not continuing to do NHL jerseys after a couple more years. That'll be just to quickly say that'll be crazy to see what major sports manufacturer company will take over after Adidas. I'm not sure who it will be, but that's pretty interesting. So we'll see. I'm sure you probably thought that was pretty interesting too when you read that.
Yeah. It was interesting because I think the NHL for the jerseys they may do like a CCM like what the AHL is doing and Ontario Hockey League, the Canadian leagues.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But go back to what you were saying because I know you're going to talk about what you think about the John Klingberg signing.
So for John Klingberg, I was a little bit surprised that he's going to Anaheim. It makes sense. Not much to say. Like you pretty much have like Jamie Drysdale, who's pretty much kicking tires to reach the potential that he needs, and I think a good veteran presence along with Kevin Shattenkirk.
Yeah, I mean this is a 1-year deal. He's basically doing it to prove that he's worth a long-term deal. That's why he did it a 1 year. And I know people were shocked, like, wow, like he's not going to get $7 million. Like, how is that possible? I mean, Anaheim was perfect because they needed to reach the cap floor. First of all, they were under it. So, hey, you got big money 1 year, so you better prove yourself that you're worth the long-term deal because you're signing a 1. I know it's only 1 year, so it's only 1 year. It's not that much of a risk, but if you're doing this for a reason because you want to prove that you're a capable defenseman that can get a long-term deal. So this will be interesting if he can prove everyone that he's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so before we head out, we'll do a quick talk of the Tampa Bay Lightning, third consecutive Stanley Cup Finals. No.
Third consecutive. Yeah.
Wait, I'm not done.
Sorry, my bad.
Unfortunately, lost to the Colorado Avalanche as they were going on a three-peat mission. But one question about this: that did you expect from the beginning that Tampa would pretty much end the three-peat drought?
When the season first started, I thought, can they be the first team to really do it? Like, especially in this modern era, because no one in the modern NHL era has ever done it. I mean, it's been 40 years since the last time a team won 3 in a row. And, when the season first started, they were doing good and they were staying consistent, like not losing a lot of games in a row. Like, they've done this for the last few years. Like, this year they had a couple of instances where they lost like 2 or 3 games in a row. But they weren't doing it the whole time. Like they were like, if they lost a game, they would rebound the next game and win. But they weren't losing a lot of consecutive games in a row this year, and which they haven't done the last couple of years. They've stayed very consistent. There was a moment in March where they lost like 3 games in a row, and then they won 1 or 2 games, and then they lost another 3 games. So March was a little scary month. So it kind of made me worried, especially because I felt like this could have been the year that Toronto finally did it. And moved to the second round, and because obviously we're tired. We played so much hockey in the last couple of years, and the fact that when they won that Game 7 in Toronto, I thought to myself, okay, they really want to prove that this isn't over, that they can do it. And then when they swept the Panthers,
oh yeah, we all know what the Panthers did.
I mean, I thought that was going to go 7 games. I literally thought it could have gone to 7 games in that Battle of Florida. And when they did that, I mean, even though Game 4 was the Bassey show, he stole that game. The Panthers should have won that game. But we were the better team, obviously. Even though that Game 4 was like the Panthers' best game because it was going to be their best game, they gave it all their effort to avoid the sweep. Like, that's when I was like, okay, we now did something better than Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh won 9 straight playoff series. And then they lost to the Capitals during their year. They won the Cup.
Yeah.
And and then was it a little bit scary when the Rangers won the first 2 games? Yeah. But I thought, okay, the Lightning have been down 2-0 before and have come back from a 2-0 series deficit, and they can do it. And that Game 3 was obviously close. It could have gone to the Rangers, but obviously that game, that winner Palat to make it 2-1, I'm like, okay, we're not done. We could win this series. And the fact that they won 4 straight games to go back to the Cup final, that was awesome. And it's like, I think after the first round when they won that Game 7, that's when I started to really believe, because I was nervous about Toronto because I knew they really wanted to prove that they could get out of the first round, and they could have won that series because this was their best series in a couple of years. Like that Game 7 was not bad by the Maple Leafs. They gave it their all in that Game 7. They really pushed us. So after that Game 7 win, that gave me a little more feeling like, okay, we can do this. And then they won 2 more series, and they won 11 straight playoff series. The Avalanches were too good. They obviously had some injuries, but we were fatigued a little bit. We had some injuries that we were dealing with. We just ran out of gas. It's unfortunate, but the dynasty isn't over. You can still be considered, if you asked me, a dynasty if you win 3 cups in 4 years. And the fact that the year you didn't win, you were in the cup final. Yeah, what a great year. I'm happy with this team still. I can't be upset. They did everything they possibly could to try to be to three-peat. And their off-season moves, they still have some things to see what they can do. Will they be healthy enough? That's the big question. Will they be healthy enough? This new, funny how some players are coming back for a second try. Nemesnikov on the Lightning again. He was part of that cup run.
We will get to that. So yeah.
Yeah, it'll have to be. I have only 5 minutes or so. We did talk about it now or something, but yeah.
Let's get that out of the way. Okay, so basically, you got Vlad Nemesnikov from signed. Corey Perry still sits. You got Sergachev, Chernak, and
Cirelli.
I think Cirelli to an 8-year extension.
Yeah.
So
they really they're not fooling around.
So yeah, with that, you can take it away if you want.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate it. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, and I apologize. It's okay. A bad habit sometimes. But yeah, basically what the Lightning did, they signed an 8-year extension because they all were going to be RFAs next year. Cirelli, Chernak, and Sergachev. Sergachev makes more money than Hedman, obviously, but Hedman took a discount. But Sergachev just has even more potential. He played great, and I think he's going to get even better. Sergachev really wants to step up, especially obviously because we lost McDonough. That was a business decision. We would have kept him if it wasn't for the cap. It's sad, and Palat too. It was, he wanted to make more money. He didn't want to take the discount, which he's entitled to. He's allowed to. He's a great athlete and a great playoff performer. But Cirelli, great 8 years and the amount of money he's making for these 8 years into his prime and into his mid-30s, like $6 million, I think it is. Sergachev, 8-something million, 8.5. That's not bad. No, wait. It's Cirelli's is like 4.75. That's amazing for a player like Cirelli. And Charnax is maybe the one out of the 3 that you question, like 6.2 million, really. But he blocked so many shots and he hurt his body on the line and put it on the line. I should say. So
it's like he's out
even though
war right now.
yeah, it was like a battle zone. Like the way he would leave some of the playoff games with so many bruises. Probably he blocked so many shots in the playoffs. So is it a little maybe risky with the amount of money that he's getting on this deal? 6.25, I think it is. Well, it's above 6 million, maybe, but I think he's worth it. I think he can really prove for these next 8 years in his prime to be a top, whether it's a top 2 or top 4 defenseman. And Sergachev is going to get even better. Cirelli, Nemesnikov, I'm excited to see what he has to bring because he was part of that cup run the year they didn't win the cup in 2015, and he was on the Lightning for a couple more years. I think it was 2 or 3 more years after that 2015 cup run. He obviously had a little bit of success with the Rangers. It didn't go so well. And then he went to the Detroit Red Wings. He had pretty decent, I think, success more than the Rangers. He was I think it went even better with the Red Wings because he was there for a couple of years. And then he played on the Dallas Stars the last season. So I think this is going to be interesting because he has a lot of familiar people he's going to be with. Stamkos and Kucherov with, the Russians, Kucherov. He didn't play that many games. He played somewhat with Vasilevsky, but Nemesnikov was really part of the Ben Bishop years. I think when Vasi took over the number 1 spot, I think that's when he got traded. I'm not sure exactly, but there's a lot of familiar faces still that Nemesnikov is going to be around with the Lightning. Ian Cole is going to be a great depth piece. He's a defenseman, I think. Yeah. Ian Cole's a defenseman. He's probably going to be on their bottom pair. I think that's going to be and we signed Hayden Fleury, so we got 2 depth defensemen, and Philip Myers we got from the McDonough trade.
And Cal Foot, that he can play a lot.
Yeah, Cal Foot, I think, is going to get more of a chance to be in their top 6 for the entire season, and I hope he does. I think he can prove to get even better and have a bigger role with the Lightning this year. Yeah. So the moves they made, I'm happy with. The contract extensions, I'm happy with. The questions are improving, defensively and offensively, because there's still room for improvement both on offense and defense. And obviously, Vassy isn't satisfied. You saw that clip where he swore after that final game where they got eliminated in Game 6. He's not happy with himself. Vassy is going to be motivated this year to be even better. That's just amazing how he is. That's just how great of a goalie he is. He is not satisfied ever, and I'm excited. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing. This team is not going to be satisfied. They lost, and they're happy. They're happy with what they did in this last couple of years. But the fact that they couldn't three-peat almost, and it's not like a cliche. They're not happy that they lost. They're going to be motivated to win again. They want to win it all again and prove that they can be a dynasty. So there's a health. Can they be healthy? Because if they want to play a lot of hockey again after what they just went through, they have to get healthy and stay healthy and improve on their offense and their defense. So, they have obviously a great offensive core and defensive core, and their goaltending is good. Elliott's not a bad veteran backup. He's good, but there's room for improvement always. So that's going to be their question. Can they improve? Yeah,
I think that they can improve.
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much it for season 6, episode 2. Austin, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully, we'll get you back on again at some point soon.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to join an episode during the beginning or midway through this upcoming season. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we will definitely grab you on soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys really do appreciate it. If you do, please hit the like button down. I greatly appreciate it a lot to me. That's gonna make me do more podcast videos in the near future. Do you guys want to follow our personal social media accounts? Links will be in the description below. Do you guys want to follow the Powerskateshow official for news, updates when we go live and all that good stuff? Links will be in the description below. Plus the Sports Zone, give them a follow. Instagram, YouTube, you name it. And also mine as well. Everything else that you need in the description. Check out Hot Take Hockey. Link in the description below as well. I'll get to it after the stream. So yeah, awesome. Appreciate it. And do you want to add anything before we head out?
Yeah, just keep, just definitely all the hockey YouTubers, whether they're new or have been in the game for a while, just give them a chance, man. We love hockey so much. It's like, it doesn't matter that's the summer off season. There's still plenty that happens, even when hockey isn't being played. So definitely follow Powerskateshow on all the social medias, and just check out a lot of hockey YouTube channels. There's a lot of great people out there that, whether they have a small following or a bigger following, it's because they're passionate. We when it comes to hockey, whether you live in America or Canada or in Europe or across the seas, we love hockey very much. But it's a passionate fan base. You can't say enough about them.
Yes. And with that, tell all your friends that we'll be back on Sunday. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you for watching or listening.